hoping that they go to Martinique next. I am dying to see that island.
You could just go with me.
Oh. He just hit my G-spot. Oh, God. More flowers.
I'd rather have a man that gives you a hard time than gives you flowers.
I like flowers. I just don't want my office to look like someone died.
I was in the neighborhood
Whoa.
and I had a little gift for you.
Oh, a cell phone.
No, it's not just any cell phone. It's a Joan phone. See, I got one too. This way we can keep in touch whenever and wherever. This phone, when I get a call, I know it's you because it's got a special Joan tone.
He gave me a cell phone. If I'm not mistaken, he gave you a Joan phone. Hi, Marcus. Thank you. Bye. He just called from downstairs to say that he already misses me. Help me.
Did make an offer on a house for you, and girl, you are gonna love those walk-in closets.
He's buying me a house?
I believe he's calling it the Joan home.
Oh, hell no. Whose is it?
It's mine, and I wear it. I have hips.
What?
I wear the body shaper because I have hips.
Now that we're all acquainted, let's get this party started.
There's the first impression he won't forget.
Hey y'all. Today, we're going to continue our recap, review, and commentary regarding Girlfriends Season 1. And we're going to actually talk about 2 episodes in one. First, episode 4, titled Hip-Ocracy. I think you know where we're going with this. And episode 5, I Pity the Fool. And the reason I'm combining these two is because they're regarding Megan's. Because they are actually focused on Joan's relationship with Marcus Stokes. And if he doesn't really ring a bell right away, Marcus with the big hips. Yeah. So we're going to be talking about Marcus with the big hips, not Becky with the good hair. We got a lot to get into, so let's get started. Thank you so much for clicking on my video, and if you're returning, welcome back to Chats and Chill. I am your host, SharionSade, and today we're going to be discussing episodes 4 and 5 of Girlfriends Season 1, Hip-Ocracy, and I Pity the Fool. Before we get into it, if you haven't already, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. So we open up episode 4, Hip-Ocracy, with the ladies, excluding Maya, joining a couple of men at 847, which is Davis's restaurant.
Thank you. Reservations for 2 under Stokes.
Marcus?
Joan?
Toni Childs?
Yes.
Hello, I'm Delta Son. I'm sorry I'm late. I didn't trust the valet with my Lamborghini. Well, I'm not sure whether we should eat or pick out China patterns.
Can we just get a drink? I'm actually in a hurry.
I cannot believe I've been stood up by a gold-plated Eagle Rosterman.
Yeah, usually they're so dependable.
These are men that they met online. So they all picked a guy online. Lynn is dating a Rasta man with a gold-plated eagle necklace, and we never meet him because he actually didn't get paroled like he thought he was going to, so he stood her up. And then we have Toni. She's meeting a guy named Dale. He is this rich businessman who drives a Lamborghini, but she ends up not going on a second date with him because to her, he is too dark-skinned. So we get into some of Toni's self-hatred issues and how Joan contributed to those self-hatred issues. Right out the gate, she's excited about him. She's planning to show him her bosom, to rope him in, to which Davis says, "You're hitting him with both barrels."
So, Toni, where's your mystery millionaire date?
He's my millionaire fiance. At least he will be once I break out the heavy artillery.
Hitting him with both barrels, huh?
That's actually one of my favorite jokes of the season. She's excited about Dale, and she's planning on taking this all the way because on paper, he meets all of her criteria. But when she meets him and he is too dark skinned for her liking, she doesn't want to date him. So when the rest of the ladies call her out and they're like, "Toni, you're also a brown skinned black woman. Why on earth wouldn't you want to date him?" But to me, I don't really care about her complexion. My concern was why don't you want to date someone you deem too dark? And what exactly is too dark? And why do you feel that way? Like, I immediately got I don't even want to say defensive, but I did become concerned because I'm like, where is this coming from? And why in the hell do you feel that way? But also, why are you acting on those feelings instead of challenging them? Because does that not ring any kind of bells of concern for you in your mind, Toni? But especially because she is a brown-skinned Black woman. Now, at first, when the women challenge her on this, she does get defensive, she deflects, and she's just kind of like, I can like what I like, you like what you like. And she tells Lynn, because Lynn is biracial, she can't weigh in. Like, it's a mess. Joan tries to get through to her by saying, hey, Toni, there are only this many millionaires. There are only this many Black millionaires, and there are only this many Black millionaires who are going to put up with your crap. And Toni is like, okay, all I need is one. So she leaves us open-ended with this revelation that she doesn't like dating men who are too dark-skinned for most of the episode. And then at the end of the episode, we do get some insight. And I have thoughts, but that's where we are right now. And then Joan is meeting Marcus Stokes. Now, I don't really remember what Marcus did for work. I don't even know if they mentioned it. But when she meets him, she's very attracted to him. He is very attracted to her. But Joan is anxious in their first meeting for several reasons. First of all, she was meeting men from the internet, and this was the first time doing that. This is in the early 2000s when we didn't have social media the way we have it now. We had chat rooms back then. And now people can catfish and play all kinds of games, and sure, they can get over on you. But back then, there were rarely any pictures associated with their online profiles. You could literally say you were or did anything, and there was really nothing to cross-reference to determine if who you were is who you said you were. So yeah, I can see why there was panic back then, because now we've kind of gotten a grasp of social media and we know how to use it to kind of cover ourselves. Back then, it was no man's land. You could pretty much do anything. You could be anyone. And there was a bit of panic associated with dating someone from the internet. Thankfully, all of the ladies met the men as they presented themselves to be, but they all had some kind of drawback. Now, what is Marcus's drawback, you might ask? Big ass hips. Like, that's the nicest way I can put it. He has some big baby making hips. And it's not immediately noticeable because he wears a girdle, which Joan discovers on their third date. So the first night they meet each other for drinks, they have a good time. It's awkward at first, but they have a good time. And then they go on another date, which we don't see as the audience. But their third date, he takes Joan to his house. And when he goes back to the car to grab the wine, she takes a little tour of his home without his consent, and she looks through his things. Now, she's impressed by his books. She's impressed by his music. She's impressed with his clothes and the fabric. He does wear a lot of linen and a lot of silk. He has a nice high-grade quality of clothing, and she likes him so far. His home is also decorated very well. He has a great townhouse with a really nice yard, at least from the outside picture we get. But when she trips over a porcelain doll or a porcelain dog at the foot of his bed, which I feel like we didn't spend enough time concerning ourselves with this little random porcelain dog in this bachelor pad. I feel like we should have been a little more concerned with that. It was probably a camera, but she finds a girdle underneath his bed. Now, I would have just observed the girdle and gone back to the living room, continued on with the date, and maybe brought up some kind of shapewear conversation. Maybe I would have said something along the lines of, you know, they're making some really high quality shapewear nowadays. Have you come across any? Like, I didn't say I was good at segues. I just said I wouldn't have pulled the underwear out from under the bed. Also, the way they were thrown under the bed, I was like, did Marcus get dressed or undressed in a frenzy? What's going on here? He walks in and catches her snooping. I would have been mortified. I hate when people like catch me snooping. They don't. I'm really good at snooping because I works my peripherals. She is damn near nose deep under his bed, pulling out stuff. And only thing under there is underwear, which is, again, what was Marcus doing? She basically says, whose are these? Who do these belong to? Now, I appreciate Marcus for embracing it, but the way he acted like this woman found a crack pipe cracks me up. The way he's like, making a revelation that he wears a certain type of underwear is so funny to me. He goes, this is mine and I wear it. And she leaves. I'm like, the fact that you on a third date You just met this man yesterday. So y'all have known each other for 24 hours. You are questioning him on his underwear choices as opposed to just observing and then later accumulating information or acquiring information as you go. You're questioning him on his underwear. It's such a weird, Joan is a maniac. And so this is such a funny episode. She leaves. She goes home. But this is what I don't like. Joan goes home. She meets up with Toni, Maya, Lynn, and of course herself. And they just sit around making fun of his hips.
I swear, I never saw those hips coming.
Wait, y'all. You know those wide load signs you see on the freeway? They just need one on his ass that says, damn!
Toni, you should have seen it. It was like a human eclipse.
I didn't like that. I'm real sensitive to making fun of people. It's one thing to laugh about something to yourself, or when you're talking about it to kind of have a chuckle like, that was crazy. He has some big ass hips. That's one thing. But it's a whole nother thing to kind of like gather in a circle and be like, look, he's got hips. Like, it was a bit much. Like, after a point, it was kind of like, damn, y'all, childish as hell. Because again, it looked like a bunch of schoolgirls at a cafeteria table. It came off really immature. It's one thing to laugh and joke here and there, but I did not like that they were just harping on this man's hips. I didn't care for that. So as they're making fun of his hips, and she's saying she doesn't like it because to her, big hips signals femininity, which, Joan, there's some internalized stuff you're gonna have to work through. And the fact that for some reason this man's shape signaled too much femininity for her, I just felt like, okay, y'all are not a match and you're not physically attracted to him. You could leave it at that. But I was interested in hearing more of that perspective, because to me, it just looked like a big guy. And a big and tall guy. Like, okay, he's a big man and he has a human body. So no, it's not going to fit any one specific mold. And you might have wider hips here and wider shoulders there and wider arms there or whatever. Like, why are we shaming this man for his actual body? Like, I did not care for that at all. And Toni calls out the hypocrisy of the episode. That's the title of the episode, but here's the hypocrisy here. And Toni is guilty of it too. We'll get to her last. But Toni calls out Joan, rightfully so. And she was like, why are you talking about his hips as if you also don't have hips? And she was like, I have hips because I'm a woman. And everything about that just made me like, Joan, I see why you've been single for a year, but I think you need a little more time to be intentionally single and to do some introspective work. I feel like every episode I'm like, damn, this character needs introspective work. But they made her extremely flawed because she is the main character. We're going to explore most of the storylines through her perspective. So they can't have this character who makes all the right decisions all the time. But when we're dissecting these episodes, I just find myself getting frustrated with Joan because it's okay to not be physically attracted to someone. What's weird to me is the why behind it. I just didn't care for that of saying he's built like a woman. It's like, no, he's built like a man who has larger hips. And you don't have to be attracted to it. I think the choice to make fun of it was what put me off. I was with you until you left the house and then decided that, and you can leave for any reason. I just didn't agree with that being the reason. And then I also didn't really care for the rallying the girls to make fun of him. I don't know. It just seemed a little cruel. Would you want him shaming your body? If he were to come to your house and say, hey, I found a body shaper or a Spanx or a girdle, I'm going to leave. We would call him out for the ridiculousness that is. Like, she has a human body. She is living in her body. It's not always going to be shaped the way that you want it to be shaped, because why are you here if that's all you're focused on? She's a whole human and she's way more than just her physical assets according to your level of attraction. She is a human being. Accept her as she is. Her body is beautiful as it is. I would say the same thing too, and about Marcus. Then they go ahead and come back to Toni not liking dark-skinned men. And Toni is still holding on to her reasoning. She's kind of keeping it close to the vest. She's almost coming off as if it's superficial, but the reason is actually heartbreaking, which we will get to. The next day at work, Joan gets there and Marcus is already in her office. And I just need the security at Joan's law firm to be a little bit better.
I need to see Joan Clayton right now.
Do you have an appointment? Appointment?
Yeah, my foot has an appointment with her ass.
Let me give you a piece of paper so that you can write a note. Because obviously you're trying to commit suicide.
What happened to the security guard, which we'll meet him later in later seasons, who was looking for a professional woman sweeping the nation?
Just wish one of y'all would step out of line so I could just whip out my flashlight.
He would have had them out of there. What happened to the security guard that confiscated William's little brown paper bag when he needed to make a deposit in the middle of the night?
Slow down, turn around, back it up.
You know, if I turned around and backed it up, I'd be leaving.
They have security, they just suck. So when Joan walks into her office, Marcus is there. Please do not come to my job with your bullshit. This is why I would have broken up with Marcus. Not for the hips, the lack of discernment. Like, you don't come to my job with this BS. And damn sure not with them big ass hips. I'm worse than Joan. No, I'm just kidding. We know that there was padding in that man's pants. That's why I can make fun of him. But if that was that man's natural body, I would not be making jokes. But she walks in and he's in there with a silk button-up shirt or button-down shirt. He's wearing slacks, a belt, and pants and shoes. And he's just sitting there. He looks normal. When he stands up, he decided not to wear his girdle. And because he's wearing slacks where you can see everything, these people have put so much stuffing in this actor's pants that I was cackling. And then on top of that, the stuffing in the diaper that they made him wear was so big, he had the biggest wedgie. This part of the episode cracks me up. Now, what I didn't care for was when Joan saw him without the girdle. She didn't see him as a man with larger hips or larger legs. She saw him as a woman because in her fantasy, he's now wearing a ski mask because everybody's been teasing her that because he's from the internet, he's going to be some kind of murderer. He's now wearing a skirt suit. So again, to her, big hips signal femininity. And so now she's questioning his masculinity because of his body type. I think the show does a great job of making people challenge their own inherent biases and beliefs. And I think this is a great episode for that. But then she decides to give him a second chance. So they go to dinner. Can't stop saying the word hips. And then they later see Toni, who's picking up takeout because, again, she ditched Dale. So she's grabbing some takeout. She comes over to say hi. And Marcus gets up to leave. And Girlfriends, the production behind Girlfriends, everybody involved with this scene is going straight to hell, because when that man stood up without a girdle on, the chair was like kind of stuck to his hips, and then when he was going up the stairs, he was waddling.
Please don't say anything.
Oh my God. Oh my God, this scene is so messed up. So he goes off into oblivion, and then we see Toni. So Toni sits down and they're discussing, Marcus's big ass hips. And finally, Joan asks Toni why she didn't like Dale and why does his skin color matter that much? And Toni basically says because she grew up a dark-skinned young woman, she knows how cruel the world can be. And yes, this is colorism. Super quick for anyone who is not familiar with colorism or racism in general, or just the many different tiers and types of racism there are, I wanted to offer a little context and nuance. So I've provided 2 articles from Psychology Today. They are linked in the description box below under sources. The first article is titled "What Color is Racism?" and that was written by Monica T. Williams, PhD. And the second is "Colorism, an Under-Recognized Mental Health Issue. You don't know what colorism is, your client might rightfully walk out on you." And that one was written by Gina Diago Sissoko, PhD. Both articles are very informative, very nuanced, and they provide such context to the conversation regarding racism and colorism specifically. Colorism is a very specific form of discrimination based on the shade or tone of one's skin. People may be discriminated against because of their perceived membership in a particular ethno-racial group, racism, because the shade of their skin, colorism, or both. When she said, "I don't want to go through life hearing you're pretty for a black girl," when I tell you it sent a hot rod up my spine. And it irritates me, not everybody, but it irritates me when colorism comes up and people love saying, well, all Black girls experience hearing you're pretty for a Black girl. Right. And there's a time for that discussion in a broader sense. Yes, let's have that discussion of racism against everyone who's Black. But right now we have to have the discussion about colorism, which only impacts those who are darker skinned. And when they are sharing their experience about being isolated or discriminated against or mistreated or insulted because they're dark skinned, then I need people to shut up and listen, because how else do you learn? How do you advocate for people that you aren't listening to? And if you aren't advocating for people where you have privilege, then what the hell are you doing with your privilege? Now, as someone who is a monoracial Black woman, but I am lighter skinned, I do understand how colorism works. And I do understand that I benefit from it, even if I don't play into it. It is a privilege because of my perceived proximity to whiteness. And the reason I'm using quotes is because people love equating inherent privilege with playing into the privilege or intentional use of said privilege. And I need people to get their head out of their ass. Just because you are lighter skinned or biracial or multiracial and you know the privilege that you have, but you choose not to play into it, doesn't mean it still doesn't benefit you. Because the truth of the matter is your perceived proximity to whiteness and your perceived proximity to Eurocentric beauty standards is getting you favor, which gives you privilege. Even if you don't use it, you still receive it. And when you are advocating for people who don't have that privilege, it's important that you listen to them first. You amplify them first. Even when people say things like, well, I don't use my privilege, or I don't believe that, or I don't think that way. Whether you lean into it or you agree with it or you think that way or not, you still receive the privilege, because as long as we live in a racist society, you benefit from the bias that exists against your own people because you are a little bit closer in proximity to what they deem right. And because you receive that privilege, you should be the first one advocating for people who don't. That is how we open doors. That is how we change minds. That is how we create equality. Use the privilege you have to help other people who might not have that privilege. While Toni did have some self-hatred issues, and her issues with her own skin tone were because she was trying to survive in a white supremacist world who is telling her that she's not enough because she's dark skinned, and her choice to not procreate with someone her color or darker was to try to help her children escape that same type of abuse and mistreatment. While I do understand where that comes from, it's still not right. We come in a multitude of skin tones, baby. We are a very diverse group of people, and we are a beautiful group of people at every shade. All of our features are beautiful. All of our features, our bodies, our colors, our hair textures, we should be celebrated for all of it because we are a beautiful group of people. And when we try to manipulate who we are or our life because of the society we live in telling us we're not enough, we're giving them what they want. But even more important than that, they're going to hate us anyway. If a person doesn't like you because you're darker skin, or if a person is going to be biased because you have dark skin, they're going to feel that way no matter what it is. So even if your skin is lighter, but you have black lips and a black nose, they're going to hate that too. That's called featureism. Your features meet Eurocentric beauty standards and your skin tone is lighter, they're going to hate your hair. It's always going to be something, because at its root, it's all racism. It's anti-blackness. And at its root, they will pick us apart to find something that they dislike about us because we are the focal point. They're gonna hate us regardless. And unfortunately, we cannot escape being discriminated as long as we are a marginalized group of people. In an equal and fair society, we wouldn't have this to worry about. But that is not the society we live in. So instead of manipulating how your children look because of what other people say and do, teach them to love themselves and to defend themselves when necessary, but to center themselves so that other people's ignorance and hatred doesn't impact how they see themselves. And if someone had done that for Toni, she wouldn't be here now. And I hope Dale moved on and found somebody who likes him for him. While I appreciate that Toni's perspective comes from pain and trying to negate that same pain from her children, it's her trying to protect her future kids. I get it. I hope that at some point she learns to love who she is and all that she is, so that when other people approach her with their ignorance, she can defend herself and keep on pushing. Let them stay with their hatred and resentment, dying inside, while you go on and continue to be beautiful. It was revealed that at some point there was a misunderstanding about the word skillet. Joan and Toni were in home ec, and Joan was asking Toni to pass the skillet. Toni didn't hear her, so Joan said it again. But it sounded to Toni as if Joan was saying, pass the skillet, skillet. Now, they got that cleared up, and I was like, what an odd misunderstanding. I wonder why Toni would jump to such a conclusion. Well, it's because one time during an argument, Toni made a comment about Joan's eyes being too big and called her bug eyes, which is rude, but it ain't racist. And in turn, Joan decided to tap dance on ancestral wounds by calling Toni a tar baby.
All right. Explain the time you called me tar baby.
You called me bug eyes first. That is not funny.
That came out of her mouth, which means that was somewhere in her psyche. That's something she was holding on to. That was something she was thinking. And does Joan have big ass eyes? Yes. That was more so an observation than an insult, although it was rude regardless. But rude and racist are not the same thing. And I'm surprised Toni continued being friends with her colorist ass. I was shocked by that. I was like, they should have made it to where Joan said something else. Because I was like, that's quite the insult. It was racist. It was colorist. That was a dig. That wasn't an insult. That was a deep-rooted dig. But then when I thought back to how cruel Toni has been to Joan in these first few episodes, I mean, going as far as to bring her ex to her house on her birthday, while I still don't agree with that action, I said, ooh, I'm starting to figure out where that damn deep-rooted resentment is coming from. Y'all need to work through some things, because tar baby is a hell of a thing to call somebody. That's racist as hell. And that's not like just normal racism. That's some damn plantation racism. And the thing is, Joan is a monoracial black woman who just happens to be light-skinned. Both her parents are black, but she's portrayed by Tracee Ellis Ross, who is half white and half black. She's half Jewish and half black. And so I'm glad they made Joan monoracial, so that took a little bit of the sting out. But to be fair, she's a light-skinned woman calling a dark-skinned woman a very colorist and racist term that came straight off a plantation owner's tongue. Split tongue, like a serpent, no less, but still a tongue. I'm just really surprised that somebody wrote that in the script. I'm like, damn, y'all went straight to slavery with this shit. That was a lot. That was a lot. I was taken aback. Some of these terms, we need to leave their asses in the past. All the colorist and racist terms we need to leave in the past, but like, that was a lot for them to have made these friends have said to each other. That's crazy. So now we're moving away from Hip-Ocracy, where Joan decided to stay with Marcus and them hips. But now we're moving into I Pity the Fool, which is episode 5, when she starts to rethink this decision. And it's not because of the hips, surprisingly. So we open up the episode with Toni and Joan just enjoying some time. They were supposed to have Lynn there for dinner as well, but Lynn was extremely late. She then embarks on a whole episode-long goal of negating CP time. Anyway, she never wins, by the way. She's always late. But we see Toni is having some money troubles, and she asks Joan to pay her car note again on a Range Rover. Joan is mama, and Joan says no, which I was really glad to see that, because again, we've talked about Joan being a bit of a people pleaser, so it was really good to see her kind of assert a boundary and say, no, that car's way too expensive for you. I'm not going to keep covering you. Toni kind of mentions how she was about to sell a house, but the buyers backed out. And she just basically says, hey, you got to live within your means to account for things like this. And Toni asks her for some advice. Joan says, hey, my boyfriend Marcus is in the market for a home. Now, they've only been dating for a few weeks at this point, maybe even a little more over a month at this point, but not for a long time. And so she tells Toni that he is in the market for a house. Now, why is this just now coming up? Your friend is a realtor. Your boyfriend is looking for a home. Why wouldn't you connect them? Now, I will say business and friendship mixing is not really my style, but you know that Toni is going through some things financially. So I probably would have put a little bug in her ear and maybe just gave a gentle nudge. But I also don't like to cross those lines. In this case, I might have made an exception because this isn't a serious boyfriend yet. So they get on the conversation about how Joan feels about Marcus. And they're asking her, like, why aren't you out with Marcus? And she goes, well, I don't have to be out with him every night. But the way she says it, it almost sounds like relief. It clocked that she's not feeling Marcus. And at first I was like, All she said was she didn't want to do something with him this one night. She wanted to spend time with y'all. But then later, she starts to rattle off a list of things that he does well. And that's when I knew, oh yeah, they're right. You don't like his ass.
Marcus is a great guy. He sends me flowers, lots of flowers, and he reads the whole newspaper. And he puts the toilet seat down. He likes me, and he's stable, and he's a great guy, and he's going to be a great dad. And I am hoping that one day soon I will grow to like him just as much as he likes me.
No, you grow to like anchovies or opera or certain forms of bondage, but with a guy, you want to be head over heels.
Yeah, well, every time I've been head over heels before, just landed on my ass.
Anytime you start listing off somebody's pros as a means to prove you like them, you probably don't like them. Because at the end of the day, she could have just came out and said, no, I really like him. Here's some things about him that I like. Instead, she said, he gives me flowers all the time. All the time, within a couple of weeks, is already like, damn, is he love bombing? Yes, the answer to that is yes. But she said, he gives me flowers all the time. He puts the seat back down when he goes to the restroom. Like, she is naming off these very common sense line items that I'm like, girl, he should be that way anyway. Like, and also, you can't build a relationship off of the position of the toilet seat. Just get separate bathrooms. It's a marriage-saving tip right there. Her tone is absolutely validating everything they're saying. So the next day at work, he pops up on her right after he sent her some flowers. In episode 4, he popped up at her job to prove to her that he had big hips, which is why she found the girdle. So he is not averse to just popping up at her job. Today is no different. He not only sent her flowers, but again, he popped up at her job. He then walks into her office where she is in a meeting with William and Maya. My issue is you have no idea what they were talking about. They're at work. You could be interrupting an actual business meeting. Why are you popping up at this woman's job? So he walks in and he wants to gift her a phone that he calls a Joan phone. And when the phone rings, it's called the Joan tone. Like, this man is a lot, but this is love bombing. It's really annoying. So then he leaves. He calls her from the lobby downstairs to tell her that he made it to the lobby and to test out the Joan phone. And then at that point, she just admits it that she don't like his ass because this is too much. Now, William accuses her of not liking him because Marcus is too nice. And I hate this trope. First of all, the nice guy is a mask. A good person can come in any gender. When you are portraying nice, when you are putting on a nice guy mask, you're manipulating the other person to get them to like you. You are being manipulative. You are being inauthentic. When you are love bombing, you are being manipulative. Even if your intent isn't nefarious, even if it's just, I'm insecure and I really want this person to like me, so I'm anxiously love bombing them because I want them to like me, it's still manipulation. And it still repulses other people, particularly people who are secure. When people are secure, they're not constantly asking themselves, does this person like me? Like Joan. They're asking themselves, do I like this person? Do we fit? Is this person a value match? Is this person a personality match? Do we live a lifestyle that's compatible? Do we have compatible dreams and goals? That's what they're asking themselves. When you are aggressively buying them things, aggressively offering to take them on trips on your first date, when you are aggressively inviting them to look at a home that you're going to purchase after only knowing them for a month, they are seeing the red flags because they're recognizing the manipulation because, again, they don't have a void that you can fill. They're already full. They're secure. So they're just looking to see if you're compatible. An insecure person will probably lean into this type of behavior because, again, they're not asking themselves, do I like this person? They're asking themselves, does this person like me? And when this person is love bombing or aggressively inviting you on trips or trying to portray themselves a certain way, it's filling a void. And so instead of feeling a little cautious about this person, you almost feel immediately compatible because they're the answer to all your dreams and goals, when really you should be the answer to all your dreams and goals. And this person should just be a party to that. Another thing that I noticed is when the ladies were asking Joan in the kitchen why she wanted to be with Marcus when it was clear that she didn't really like him, she never really said, I like him, or if she did, she said it in a word salad. But something that stuck out to me was when she said,
Why are you still with Marcus?
Because her best friend is broke and needs to sell him a house.
Because he likes me.
because he likes me. And anything after that point, I really couldn't hear because I was like, you don't have to like him just because he likes you. You don't owe someone your affection. I feel like we have all had the experience of liking someone or having feelings for someone who maybe didn't share those same feelings. You just move on. You're not entitled to them. And you damn sure don't get to say, hey, I should still have you because I'm going to perform nice. And because I'm performing nice, you should have to be with me, lest you be single forever. I think people have a really nasty habit of underestimating how fun being single is. Sure, companionship is wonderful. And when you find your forever, hopefully you know it and you get that and you're happy with that for the rest of your life. I've never been happier that I made the same decision 10 years ago that I would make today in choosing my husband. And hopefully he would choose me as well. But if I did not have my husband, if I'd never met my husband and no one else gave me that same feeling, I would have been just fine. I would have been just fine. And I think he would have been too, which is why our marriage works, because every day we know we choose each other. Do you know how disgusted I would feel if I found out he said, hey, because she's a nice person, I'm going to go ahead and marry her. Okay, she was nice to me. She's a good person because she's nice. Just because I'm a good person doesn't mean I'm your person, and vice versa. But William is incel coded. There is an inherent entitlement that he operates with when it comes to other women, which is why I was so glad when he dated Yvonne, because she set his ass straight. She deserves so much better, but she still set his ass straight. He tried to impose on her, and while she did have some challenges, I love that she chose herself. This is also how people who embody the nice guy mask, this is how they benefit from assholes. For the guys that are out there who are overtly nasty or overtly disrespectful or overtly nefarious to women, they help the other guys who are covertly all those same things, but they hide it better under the nice guy mask. They help them out more than anyone because they always have the antithesis of their performance to lean on to help convince you to date them. The first thing William said was, you don't like nice guys. You only like guys who don't treat you well. You realize there are people in the middle there. There are good people who are just good for the sake of being good to others. They're kind, they're generous, they're good, they're considerate, they're loving, they're all these things. They're not performing it, they already are those things. But also, I will be attracted to them too. And they'll be attracted to me too, and we'll be compatible. That's the missing element. And you can't force someone to be compatible with someone else because they're nice. Anyway, that's a conversation. We could be here all day. So after Joan decides that she's going to break up with Marcus, she goes to dinner with him and she kind of comes up with this little deflective spew, like she's trying to get out of saying exactly what she feels. But he says, hey, I can handle it. What do you have to say? And she tells him that she's moving to Peru. Joan could just be direct, but if she were a perfect person, we wouldn't have a show. So she has to be flawed so we can have these experiences with her. But my goodness, when she was going through the Rolodex of different ways that people have broken up with her to get some inspiration, there was one guy who said that he didn't like her. He was a kid. And then in college or high school, this little teenage boy looked at Joan and said, hey, Tamika puts out.
Hey, Tamika puts out.
When I tell you, I cackled my head off. It's one thing to break up with someone because they don't put out. Lord knows I've been there. I've been dumped for that very reason. But why was he so hostile? He was pissed that he couldn't slap Joan's cakes. He said, hey, Tamika puts out. Like, I couldn't even handle it. I was like, okay, damn. Angry sex having ass. So anyway, that part gets me. But then the last guy, he says, I'm moving to Peru. So Joan goes with this. You know, she could just say, hey, I don't think we're compatible. Let's just be cool. She says, I'm moving to Peru. This moment confirmed that all of this love bombing, although love bombing is manipulative as well, this confirmed that Marcus was doing it intentionally because he says, maybe this will change your mind. I love you, Joan. Love can happen very fast. I don't know how comfortable I would be with someone telling me they love me after a month, especially since it's unreciprocated. Like she is not showing up in the same way or even in a similar manner to him as he is showing up for her. And so what exactly does he love? The fact that she's there? It almost is like he's performing love so much that he doesn't need her to do anything. He just needs her to be a party to his performance. So he doesn't really love her. He loves how he feels when he's performing love for her. That was my takeaway. It just felt really manipulative. I don't want you to move. I want you to stay here because I need you to be an asset in my ideal world. I don't really care what you bring with you. I don't really care who you really are. I've built you up in my mind. I need you to help me fill a void. I'm immediately looking for homes to purchase after only a month. And now I'm telling you I love you. The man is insane. And even if he were in love, let's say love hit so hard, Cupid had 9-10 arrows in his ass. Let's say all of that is true. There is still a way you pace your presentation of those things. He did all of this with no consideration for her, popping up at her job, overwhelming her office with flowers in a professional environment. Once or twice of doing that or here and there doing that, that's great. But every damn week, you're putting a little bit too much of my business in my office place. Popping up at her job whenever he feels like it, giving her a phone, which seemed cool on the surface, but did Joan say she needed a phone? He did all those things to manipulate her. Now he's looking for a house to buy for her that he calls a Joan home. And now he's saying he loved her. He was going to end up chained up in the basement. This man was a walking red flag, hips and all. So she tells him that she's breaking up with him. He says, don't go. I love you. And so she sleeps with him. She even refers to the words, I love you, as magic words. Joan's so damn insecure. Girl, you do not owe anybody any part of yourself, especially not physically. Girl. And it's weird because it's almost like, do Joan not realize people can make up lies? People can just say anything. It doesn't cost anything to say words. So the next day, she is with all her friends and they're talking about the fact that she slept with this man because he said he loved her. Girl. She also compromised on her 3-month rule, so immediately bending her boundaries because he love bombed her. And because she was so desperate to hear I love you and desperate for someone to like her, she just gave it all away. So sad. But then the ladies are basically telling her to stay or go for their own reasons. Toni is saying stay so I can finish the sale on this house, which... Hey, she's just trying to do her job. But Maya is basically like, yeah, you need to get rid of him. Lynn is like, you need to get rid of him. So Maya offers to break up with him for Joan by telling him a lot of inappropriate things about Joan. Why they would go along with this is so crazy to me. Again, these are 30-year-old women. These women are not in middle school or high school. They are in their 30s acting like this. Or they're in their late 20s going into their 30s acting like this. And so Joan agrees. So Maya shows up. Now, I will be honest. The way she was telling him all these negative things about Joan had me rolling.
Joan's a hoe.
What? Not Joan.
And a devil worshiper.
I don't believe that.
Okay, Marcus. Let's cut to the chase, okay? What would you believe?
Nothing bad about Joan.
Now, something I did like about him was when she said, what will you believe about Joan? He said, nothing bad about Joan. That's how your man got to have your back. You can't come to me about my partner. Obviously, if he do something for real, come to me. But you can't just shit talk my partner to me. That's not going to work. I love a good united front. And then Toni tries to sit down with him and she starts to do it, but instead she decides to try to sell him on a nicer home. And then lastly, because the women are acting so strange and telling him all these negative things about Joan, he reaches out to William and is like, hey, can you tell me what's going on? Why is everybody shit talking Joan? So William says, hey, I'm just going to keep it real. Joan used to be a man. This is transphobic as hell. And even though he's like, I don't have anything against transsexuals, but I do understand that you don't want to be called something that you're not. Okay, I appreciate that they were clear about that, but I still was like, out of all the negative things y'all thought y'all were telling this man, you couldn't just simply say, hey, Joan doesn't like you and she doesn't know how to tell you. That would have been the first thing out of my mouth if I participated in these shenanigans at all, which I wouldn't have. I would have just said, Joan, girl, you better woman up and tell that man you don't like him. Why don't you text him from the Joan phone? I'll give you the 10 cents per text. That's an early 2000s joke. You might not be old enough to get it, but we was out here paying an arm and a leg to text a couple of words here and there. He finally confronts Joan at home. And he's like, hey, why do you have all of your friends trying to do your dirty work? I don't want to play these juvenile games. He's a liar there, loves juvenile games. I will say in this moment, I agreed with him and I appreciate his direct approach. So Joan admits that she just didn't know how to tell him and she didn't want to be with him. And he's like, okay, fine. You don't have to like me. You could have just told me that directly. Give me my damn phone back. And this is also why you don't accept gifts from people too early. I don't even really like accepting certain things from people. You can't buy me anything with a service attached. Don't, because I might get dependent on that thing. And then if we don't work out, I'm gonna have to pay for it myself. I don't like to accept things that I can't maintain on my own. But this is another form of manipulation. As soon as he didn't like her, as soon as he didn't get what he wanted, he snatched his shit back. He's manipulative. But also, you're not gonna keep my phone if you don't like me. So it just all happened too fast because he was trying to love bomb her. Now, this attracts Joan, and she decides to sleep with him again. Now that they've gotten everything out in the open, it's actually enjoyable for both of them. They look more relaxed. They look refreshed. They look like they're having a great time. They breathing all hard. Joan has an excellent back. She must do Pilates. She probably weight lifts. I know she's into yoga as well. Girlfriend. And since I did not mention it up until this point, Lynn still got on my nerves in these 2 episodes. More so episode 5, I Pity the Fool, because they were having dinner together and this woman showed up 3 hours late with the lettuce for the salad. I don't like Lynn in season 1 and they are not helping me to change my mind. Overall, I actually liked the Marcus character because it finally showed Joan on the receiving end of affection, although it was unrequited up until this point. We've known that Joan is unlucky in love. She's constantly getting dumped or cheated on or what have you. And so it was great to see someone who was all in with Joan, but also what that extreme could look like. It was great to see Joan be the chooser for once. So for that, I was grateful. I love that in these 2 episodes, or at least in episode 4, they addressed Toni's colorism and where the root of that came from. But I'm also glad to see that she changed her mind on that. Now, we never really saw that reflected in her dating choices because later we see that she did date a character that was portrayed by Idris Elba. And they'd apparently dated in college or shortly after college, but it didn't work out because he was not wealthy. I can't really remember what the issue was there, but when he came back around, he was very wealthy and heavily pursuing her, and she chose Todd over him. Mind you, Todd had been doing some odd things with a colleague and treating her like shit. We'll get to the Todd of it all. The Todd saga is going to be its own little series of videos, and I want to do all of those together. I don't think I'm going to do episodic recaps of Todd and Toni. They're going to have their own section of time, part 1, part 2, kind of like we did the problem with the pits from the game. We're going to have to do the same thing for the Garretts. Marcus crapped out. First, he showed up with them big ass hips. That was problem number 1. Here's the thing. While I don't see anything wrong with his hips, and I don't think that you should whittle somebody down to a feature on their body, I think that's really shallow and immature, and it says a lot about you. I also feel like you can break up with people for any reason. I don't care if the wind blow the wrong way. If you want to break up with somebody, get out of there. No one is entitled to your affection. No one is entitled to your attention. So if somebody doesn't rub you the right way, get the hell up out of there. You never really know. Sometimes our discernment shows up as these things that we dismiss as very small. Because listen, she didn't like his hips or his girdle. Okay, that seems superficial, and it is. But later, this man is a whole manipulator and a love bomber? Trying to move too fast, trying to buy a house for her in the first month? While her discernment might have signaled the hips, her discernment was trying to signal her to get the hell out of there no matter what. Get out of Dodge. Who knows what he would have done to Joan once he got her inside that house with them hips. I'm glad that she didn't let herself get sucked into a pity relationship just because she was desperate for someone to like her. We all deserve to be with people that we like and that like us back genuinely. So that's all I have for episodes 4 and 5 of season 1 of Girlfriends, Pity the Fool, and Hip-Ocracy. Y'all let me know your thoughts on Marcus Stokes in the comment section below. I do wish that we had a few more episodes of them within their relationship because I did like their dynamic. He was just a wacky ass character and I just found him to be kind of funny. I also felt like he reminded me of one of my favorite actors, Michael T. Williamson. I adore him. I think he is such a good actor and he has one of the best episodes of Celebrity Ghost Stories. And this actor reminded me of him. So I enjoyed watching him for that reason, but we have to bid adieu. Before we get out of here, I just want to say a very special thank you to those of you who have joined a membership. I really appreciate you supporting the channel, and I hope you're enjoying the exclusive content as well as the perks. So I wanted to start by saying thank you to Michelle Taylor, Lakedra Bell, Nick Mack, Gemini Baby 624, Stephanie Santiago, The Mel Experience, Rainbow Reese, Rena Green, Black Kazumi, Specs McCoy, Melanated Leo Queen 88, I love your name, Alexis Oliver, Riri the Ripper, J Buggin 88, Keisha Williams, and Dramo. Thank y'all so much for becoming Chatty Patties or joining the Chit Chat membership, and I hope you are enjoying it. I really appreciate it. So that's all I have. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, and I will see y'all next time. Bye.